A commenter said to look up the history of the Temple Church in London because it relates to the videos I did on the Red Crosses and the Knights Templar. And I'm going to try to make some connections in this video, and I hope I do a good job. So the Temple Church is a royal peculiar in the Church of England, which means that it's under the authority of the monarchy and not the diocese. So this is an organ inside the church. You'll see the Templar cross on the left and then the royal heraldry of the Windsors up here. It's located in the city of London and was built by the Knights Templar for their English headquarters in the Temple Precinct, which is close to the Temple Mithras from Roman times. Consecrated in 1185 by the Patriarch Heraclius of Jerusalem. And Heraclius of Jerusalem was also Archbishop of Caesarea and the Archdeacon of Jerusalem before that. So Caesarea is named for Caesar and known biblically as Caesarea Philippi. Caesarea Philippi was settled in the 4th century BC as a Phoenician colony after the ruler of Sidon. So here is Phoenicia, Tyre, and Sidon. Here's Caesarea Philippi and Mount Hermon. Jerusalem is down here. It was enlarged in the Roman period by the Judean king Herod, who dedicated it to Caesar. Herod is the one who ordered all the babies killed to try to kill Jesus. Also, the Knesset in Israel is built on top of a site that was an encampment of Herod's military, and the Rothschilds chose that location. It's at the foot here of Mount Hermon, which is where the fallen angels came down, and it's also the location visited by Jesus, where he put the demonic on notice that the gates of hell shall not prevail over his church. It's also famously the grotto or cave of Pan, the goat god with hooves for feet, which I'll cover that connection later. Okay, so Heraclius was French, but he studied in Bologna, Italy, which is about 100 miles from Genoa, Italy, which I've covered in a prior recent video. So that's who consecrated that temple church, the same person who was an archdeacon of Jerusalem, but an archbishop of Caesarea Philippi near Mount Hermon. So he was French, but he was educated in Italy, near Genoa. He became a priest in Israel, way over here. Okay. And then he consecrated a Templar church in England, way up here. And that's a lot of getting around for the 1100s, physically, when you think about it. Okay, so the Temple Church served as the royal treasury during the reign of King John in the 1200 timeframe. It was supported by the Knights Templar as proto-international bankers. The Templars were proto-international bankers. That same commenter said, now people can understand why the Temple District exists in London. The entire legal system is controlled by the courts of the Temple, and the High Court of Justice is located there, as well as the Grand Lodge of England, whose master is Edward of Kent. And this is their heraldry. These guys here, if you look at their feet, they have hooves for feet. See their hooved feet? And that matches the Pan figures that we saw all over the king's palaces in Genoa, Italy. And it's the same Pan whose grotto is at the foot of Mount Hermon in Caesarea Philippi. The first modern bank came from Genoa, whose nobility took over after the Templars fell, and their vast wealth ended up in the city of London, which is a corporate body. And just a side note from another commenter about Genoa, the Griffiths on their heraldry. I called them, they were griffin dragons, but they're actually, the commenter said they're ziz. And that's what they are. That's what this is right here. It's a ziz, which is a beast from the Babylonian Talmud, accompanied by the Leviathan and the Behemoth. So, this Genoan nobility had a beast from the Babylonian Talmud and as their heraldry. Genoa still has that as its heraldry. After the capture of Jerusalem in 1099 by the Crusaders, the Dome of the Rock was given to the Augustinians, who turned it into a church. This is showing the Temple Mount. This is the Dome of the Rock in the middle here. Then the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is also within the Temple Mount, but it's down here, became a royal palace, and the Knights Templar set up their headquarters there at the mosque adjacent to the dome for much of the 12th century. The Dome of the Rock featured on the official seals of the Knights Templar Order's Grand Masters, along with the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is over here, not in the Temple Mount area, became the architectural model for the round Templar churches across Europe. So, the Knights Templars, in their secretive esoteric organizations, are very cozy with this temple historically. Solomon's temple. Okay. And the Knights Templar Order was and is a very powerful order in England, with the Master of the Temple sitting in Parliament as Primus Baro. The compound was regularly used as a residence by kings and legates of the Pope, talking about the Temple Church. The temple also served as an early safety deposit bank, sometimes in defiance of the Crown's attempts to seize the funds of the nobles who had entrusted their wealth there. After the destruction and abolition, supposedly, of the Knights Templar in 1307, King Edward II took control of the church as a crown possession, and then later gave it to the Knights Hospitalier, and then took it back in 1540. The crown did. Once again, when King Henry VIII abolished the Knights Hospitalier in England, supposedly, and confiscated their property. But remember that Gary Wayne wrote, "Through the generosity of the European royalty, Templar wealth overflowed, which then transformed the Templars into one of the greatest military, political, economic, and religious forces in the world has ever known." The Knights Templar then became an exoteric creation of an esoteric order, which was employed as a militia organization, subject in all respects to the Priory of Zion. Think political Zionism. And this is just Winston Churchill, who's a Druid and who was lionized during World War II. And what did World War II turn out? It turned out modern-day Israel. See my video titled Jerusalem. Gary Wayne writes, Druids, Essenes, and Freemasons all have ties to the Templars. And this again is the heraldry of the Grand Lodge of England. And these fallen representations of fallen angels here have hooves for feet, like Pan. They're demonic creatures. Thanks for listening.